Welcome to this explainer. We're jumping right into an incredibly urgent health crisis unfolding right now in Central Africa, the 2026 Ebola outbreak. We're going to look at the exact medical strategies being deployed to stop it in its tracks, figure out what's actually working, and honestly, look at what's failing. So let's get into it. Okay, so here's the absolute critical question facing the global medical community today. How do we stop an outbreak before it spirals into a full-blown epidemic? We are looking at a high-stakes scenario escalating by the minute in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Uganda. The containment window, it's incredibly tight. When a pathogen moves this fast, literally every single hour counts. And this is exactly what we're up against. What you're looking at is the Bundibugyo virus under a microscope. It's a rare, highly specific strain of the Ebola virus that's currently just tearing through vulnerable communities. Understanding how this thing behaves at a cellular level is step one. Because, we aren't just fighting a standard disease here. We're fighting a merciless, highly adaptable biological agent. Moving into our first main section, the 2026 Ebola crisis. Right now, the reality on the ground is grim. As of late May 2026, we're looking at 134 confirmed cases. That actually includes a U.S. medical doctor who was exposed treating patients and is now getting care in Germany. But here's the really scary part. Those confirmed cases, they're just a fraction of the real story. There are over 900 suspected cases in the DRC alone. That massive gap between confirmed and suspected means the virus is easily outpacing our testing capabilities. It's expanding across borders way faster than we can definitively map it. To really grasp the stakes of these escalating numbers today, we've got to look back. That brings us to our next section, the devastating 2014 epidemic. So let's track the trajectory of this threat. We start way back with the initial discovery of the virus in 1976. Fast forward, and you hit the catastrophic West African epidemic in 2014, then a major DRC outbreak in 2018, right up to our current 2026 emergency. Tracking this timeline highlights a pretty terrifying truth, right? This virus persistently reemerges, and when it does, the consequences are absolutely earth-shattering. I mean, just look at the disparity in this data. It's horrifying. The 2014 epidemic in West Africa caused over 11,300 direct deaths. Let me put that into perspective. That single outbreak was more than 11 times larger than all previous Ebola outbreaks combined. It completely shattered our understanding of how bad things can get if the virus jumps from isolated rural clusters into densely populated cities. But the true devastation goes way beyond the direct viral infections. That leads us to our next section, the hidden costs of outbreaks. 10,600. That number is just staggering. Because a massive outbreak essentially collapses local healthcare systems, the 2014 crisis caused an estimated 10,600 additional indirect deaths. These were people who died from untreated existing conditions. Think malaria, HIV, tuberculosis, simply because clinics were either destroyed, closed down, or entirely overrun with Ebola patients. When the system breaks, the death toll multiplies in the shadows. And the societal fallout? Just as brutal. The economies of Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone lost an estimated $2.2 billion in GDP. That essentially grinds essential trade and development to a complete halt. Over 17,300 children lost one or both parents to the virus, and students lost roughly 33 to 39 weeks of schooling. That's over half a year of education just gone. The societal scar tissue left behind is massive and incredibly tough to heal. So the goal is obvious. Stop the spread immediately, right at the source, before those secondary effects kick in. Which brings us to how to contain Ebola. The CDC actually relies on a very strict sequential protocol for frontline healthcare workers. Step 1, identify. Rapidly assess a patient's travel history, their contacts, and their symptoms. Step 2, isolate. Move them immediately to a private room using full personal protective equipment. And step 3, inform. Instantly alert facility infection control and public health authorities. It's a clear playbook designed specifically to break the chain of infection before it hits a second person. But here's the catch. Having a plan on paper is one thing. Doing it in reality, totally different story. Let's look at the challenges on the ground. This warning from the International Rescue Committee is incredibly stark. They explicitly note that 4 out of 5 contacts are not being traced. Just pause and think about that for a second. 80% of potentially exposed people are slipping right through the cracks. That strongly suggests this virus has probably been spreading completely undetected for months before the first official cases were even flagged. And frankly, you can't isolate a virus if you don't know who has it. Building on that tracing failure, frontline workers in the DRC are facing an absolute perfect storm. We've got the undetected spread, plus violent security incidents at health facilities disrupting vital care. Add to that a deep, tragic mistrust of prevention efforts within communities, which literally leads patients to actively flee treatment centers. And on top of all that, severe shortages of diagnostic testing cartridges are drastically slowing down case confirmation. It is the absolute worst-case scenario for trying to contain a virus. Despite these massive hurdles, there is a real glimmer of resilience coming from the medical frontier. We turn now to our final section, experimental treatments and hope. So, right now, there is zero approved vaccine for the specific Bundibugyo strain. So what are we doing about it? Well, the U.S. government is using a whole-of-government approach to tap MAP Biopharmaceutical, which is a small biotech firm out of San Diego. They're rushing an experimental antibody treatment to high-risk individuals right in the heart of the outbreak zone. It's basically a desperate race against the clock to get these vials where they're needed most. And the science behind this treatment, known as MBP134, is honestly incredible. This is an experimental antibody cocktail that was miraculously isolated from a survivor of that catastrophic 2013 to 2016 West African epidemic we talked about earlier. Even though it was originally developed for a different strain, rigorous lab studies show it has serious potential to neutralize the specific Bundibugyo virus ravaging the DRC today. It's just a brilliant testament to how past tragedies are literally fueling today's medical breakthroughs. As international teams rush these experimental treatments and containment strategies to the front lines, we're left with one final urgent question to ponder. Can our medical advancements actually outpace the rapid, quiet spread of this deadly virus? Thank you for joining me for this explainer. These next few months are going to drastically test the absolute limits of our global health infrastructure. And the outcome? It's going to determine whether 2026 goes down as a successfully contained crisis or a devastating global turning point.